everybody, welcome to the show, and today we're going to take a break from the outdoor growing to show you what a super premium commercial grade grow tent looks like nowadays in 2023. So interestingly, I did an episode back in 2014, though I've re-uploaded it since due to a channel deletion, comparing a no-name tent versus a premium brand tent at the time. This is 9 years ago now. Back then, the no name was represented by some cheap Asian made tent that I could get off of eBay for $150, and the super premium tent was represented by Secret Jardin brand and cost around $300 at the time. And what's happened in the 9 years since then is, thanks to legalization and the growing popularity of growing, well, basically, grow tents got better and better and better, while prices stayed relatively flat for them. Nowadays, the really flimsy, skinny grow tents with those overhead bars that you can't even hang a carbon filter off of, they don't even exist. I couldn't find them on the market. And what's happened over the years is a whole bunch of less expensive brands have produced a number of cheaper tents that have a bunch of the premium features for the same price. So nowadays, you don't have to put up with vents that just close up with strings, or any kind of super thin overhead bars, or the kind of tent that you can expect will start to disintegrate once you put it together and take it apart a couple times. And thus the market of super premium commercial tents has emerged since the 2014 era, and there's been a whole bunch of them. Now, a lot of them I just didn't want to have on the channel because I didn't think that they made sense. For instance, a lot of these custom to order commercial tents, they're actually made out of steel, which is incredibly heavy, and I kind of got to worry about whether there's going to be any rusting if it's not properly galvanized, for instance. Also, steel is kind of hard to construct and work with. Some of these tents had cedar construction, which is pretty heavy duty, but again weighs a whole lot and isn't particularly flexible. We discovered the same when we attempted to build our own cedar tent about a year and a half ago for the testing room. It just didn't have the flexibility to hang all kinds of different lights and accessories as we needed to make changes. So overall, we really didn't like it. Then there was the cost of these metal and cedar tents. Largely due to the cost of transportation, it often was over $1,000 US to get one of these, and that also kind of made them a tough commitment for most people. Enter this grow tent by a startup called Grozeebo. Now their goal is to use industrial strength aluminum frames that feature a T-slot design throughout. This makes for surprisingly strong and relatively lightweight construction with maximum flexibility. As far as putting it together, I found the process to be really similar to most other grow tents, with some twists and different connecting components. But overall, it was the same basic idea of, well, first you build the frame, starting with the top and the bottom, and you go from there. It really wasn't difficult. There was a manual with good quality photos for everything to make it all clear, and if I had to do it all again, I could probably pull the whole thing off in under an hour. The unique design of this T-slot aluminum framing means that not only can you can hang a person off of these and you get a lot of strength. So like this is me hanging off them, and I believe that I can even safely hang off of just one of them. Let's try it. Yep, all 185 pounds of me are hanging off of that one overhead bar. And because, as you guys can tell, the T-slots are just absolutely everywhere, nothing actually prevents you from installing these overhead bars along the sides and putting something on them like a heavy oscillating fan, for instance. Soon the company even intends to make heavy-duty shelves that can hold quite a bit of weight for this tent, like if you wanted to put in a full-size humidifier, for instance. And they've even already created the slots in the middle of this tent to accommodate these shelves, although I didn't get these shelves in my particular unit. Thanks to Grozeebo, by the way, for providing us this tent to look at. I will link to this tent down in the video description for you guys, along with a meaty discount code that should make getting one of these quite a bit easier. Now, Grozeebo actually makes two kinds of tents. The slim, which is just more like a regular tent, except it still has the aluminum framing and ballistic nylon type of siding. And then this is the pro, as I said, and it comes with this. This is actually a polystyrene, expanded polystyrene, which is just a type of styrofoam, and it's supposedly an R15 as far as insulation. It's designed to keep the temperature inside the tent a lot more stable, whether the tent is in a hot garage like this one or inside a cold basement. And also, of course, having a tent this thick makes for some pretty decent noise proofing, especially because many growers who use a tent, they tend to be in a smaller place, and the noise proofing actually matters. Why does the company only make a 4x4 size tent, whether it's the Slim or the Pro? Well, that's because the tents are actually highly modular, as all commercial tents should be, in my opinion. You can arrange this in a 4x8 or in an 8x8 square. It really doesn't matter. It's going to all work. All over the tent, these panels are actually simply attached with Velcro, and you can do a lot of stuff. Like, for instance, you can take a vent and you can move it to a different wall, which I think is very useful. Besides that, there's all the other features that you'd probably expect to see. Very heavy-duty zippers all over, 99% reflective mylar of the best quality, good drawstring straps on every vent opening, no light leaks once fully set up, and of course, again, the thick ballistic nylon for the exterior construction, and just generally overall very high quality stitching. I was routinely amazed as I put this together by just how strong and resilient everything looked. Now, what are some downsides and considerations before buying a tent like this? Well, the first one is actually cost. The Grozeebo Pro costs $950 US before my discount code, and the Slim costs $550 US. That means that these tents are a poor choice for a sort of beginner grower dabbling in their very first cycle. They're more for a grower who's been around a little while and has a firm plan to get a lot of use out of one of these units. Secondly, with the Pro at least, storage is another serious consideration. All the panels don't exactly fold up neatly into a closet. You gotta have space for them. And originally, when this thing arrived, it actually came in a box that was almost big enough for a refrigerator. And finally, as I put this thing together and took a look at the final product, I did wish that there was a secondary access door somewhere on the tent, kind of like this one, so that you could do watering easier later in the grow. That's always a good feature in other tents. Now, of course, since the panels are attached with Velcro, you can, pop off an entire panel, do what you need, and put it back on. However, it does take a little bit of practice to remove the panels and put them back on without creating an air gap at either the top or the bottom, I thought. Otherwise, I think this tent and this type of design for a commercial grow tent is extremely cool. And if I was in the market for something like this, I would certainly start the search with a tent like this, whether it's the Grozeebo or something else that is based in something other than a heavy metal or cedar frame. So I hope that this catch up with the indoor grow tent industry since 2014 has been useful to you. If so, subscribe, hit that like button, and we'll see you all next time.